Ever wonder what happens when American ingenuity meets the challenge of building trains smaller than your garage? From steam engines barely taller than a man to locomotives that powered America's most beloved amusement parks, these miniature marvels changed entertainment forever. 10. Allen Herschell S24, Iron Horse. Let's kick things off with a heavyweight in the miniature train world, the Allen Herschell S24 Iron Horse. Built in Buffalo, New York, starting in 1963, this 24-inch gauge locomotive was Allen Herschell's answer to the competition from Chance Manufacturing's CP Huntington trains. The Iron Horse was designed to capture the nostalgia of the Old West during television's golden age of westerns. Running on a 2-foot wide track, these locomotives could haul significantly more passengers than their predecessors while still fitting within existing engine houses at parks. The company produced exactly 49 of these beauties between 1963 and 1970, with each train consisting of a locomotive and 3 coaches selling for $21,200. That's about $200,000 in today's money. What made the Iron Horse special wasn't just its capacity, it was its international appeal. Units were shipped to parks in Toronto, Sao Paulo, Barcelona, and Tokyo. The locomotive featured authentic steam-style details despite being powered by a Wisconsin V4 air-cooled industrial gasoline engine, complete with a false smokestack and ornate brass fittings. When Chance Manufacturing bought Allen Herschell in 1970, they effectively eliminated their own competition, but these Iron Horses proved so durable that many still operate today. Private collectors have lovingly restored numerous examples, keeping alive this piece of American amusement park engineering that bridged the gap between toy trains and serious transportation. 9. Crown Metal Products, 440 steam locomotives. Crown Metal Products of Wayano, Pennsylvania, represents one of America's most successful park train manufacturers, though founder Ken Williams never intended to get into the business. In 1946, Williams started the company making pot cleaners and electric fence wires, but when he purchased a miniature steam locomotive in the 1950s, likely a Cagney Brothers model, everything changed. In 1959, Williams built his first commercial locomotive nicknamed Little Toot for Galen and Sally Borders of Flora, Illinois. This became the first of hundreds of Crown 440 American-type locomotives produced over 3 decades. Crown specialized in 3 specific gauge models: the 15-inch gauge park model, the 24-inch gauge intermediate model, and the full 36-inch narrow gauge version. Notable specific locomotives include number 2 Sequoia, a 36-inch gauge 440 built in 1964 for 6-gun territory in Cherokee, North Carolina, a 2/3 scale replica of the famous William Crookes. Crown's 440 locomotives were overbuilt with incredibly strong components because Williams knew they'd be operated by amateurs in theme parks and zoos. Specific models like the Crown 440 locomotives at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, which featured custom European-themed bodies on standard 36-inch locomotives, and the African-themed 440s for Tampa, showed Crown's versatility. The locomotives burned coal or wood initially, though many were later converted to propane. By the 1980s, stricter Federal Railroad Administration regulations and the inherent dangers of boiler operations led to Crown's decline. The company closed in 1989 after producing approximately 58 locomotives, but Ken's son Bert continued supporting these specific Crown models through Castle Ridge Products until 2004. Before we move on to the next one in the list, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Thanks to all of you who do. 8. Chance CP Huntington trains. The Chance CP. Huntington represents the most successful park train in modern American history. Designed by Richard Harold Chance in 1960, this scaled replica of an authentic 1863 locomotive began production in 1961 at Chance Manufacturing in Wichita, Kansas. The original CP Huntington was Central Pacific Railroad's 3rd locomotive, but Chance's miniature version would far exceed its namesake's fame. The first CP Huntington train was delivered to Joyland Amusement Park in Wichita in 1961, replacing their original miniature steam train. Available in both 20-inch and 24-inch gauge configurations, these locomotives could be powered by gasoline, diesel, propane, or electric motors, though as of 2025, only the electric model remains in production. Each complete train set included a locomotive measuring approximately 15 feet long and capable of pulling multiple coaches carrying over 100 passengers. The distinctive feature of the CP Huntington is its false drive wheels and reciprocating side rods that simulate steam operation, while actual power comes from the front and rear trucks. With over 400 examples built as of 2024, specific notable installations include engine numbers assigned sequentially by chance. The design proved so successful that it essentially dominated the park train market after Chance acquired Alan Herschell in 1970 and discontinued the S24 Iron Horse. Many parks replaced their aging steam locomotives with CP Huntingtons due to easier maintenance and operation. The trains feature handcrafted detailing with options for brass or chrome trim and custom paint schemes. Today, Chance Rides continues production from their Wichita facility, maintaining their 60-plus year legacy. The transition to all-electric models reflects modern environmental concerns while preserving the classic appearance that has delighted millions of riders across 6 decades of continuous production. 7. Alan Herschell S16, 1865 model. Before the Iron Horse came Alan Herschell's S16 1865 model, a steam outline locomotive that captured the imagination of the late 1950s. Named for its Civil War-era appearance, this specific 16-inch gauge model debuted in 1958 when television westerns like Gunsmoke and Bonanza ruled the airwaves. The S16 was a 440 configuration locomotive utilizing the same Wisconsin power plant and Blomberg-style trucks as its predecessor, the G16, but wrapped them in an elaborate Victorian-era package. Alan Herschell produced 41 S16 locomotives, total 9 units in 1959, 10 in 1960, 10 in 1961, 7 in 1962, 2 in 1963, and 3 in 1964. Each S16 locomotive featured specific design elements: ornate brasswork, a diamond stack smokestack, false drive wheels with connecting rods, and the distinctive high skyline profile added in 1964 with taller cabs, steam domes, and smokestacks. However, the S16 model faced challenges. Those decorative drive wheels and rods required constant lubrication and adjustment and needed a minimum 57-foot radius turning circle that most venues couldn't accommodate. Many operators modified their S16s by removing the problematic drive assemblies. The initial S16 units had couplers and footboards so long that operators couldn't reach the controls while seated. By 1962, the market shifted toward larger gauge models. The last S16, serial number unknown, was sold in September 1964 to an undisclosed buyer. Despite limited production, enthusiasts have meticulously restored specific S16ES, with examples operating at various heritage sites. 6. Miniature Train Company G16 Diesel. The Miniature Train Company's G16 represents American entrepreneurship at its finest. Paul Sturtevant of Glen Ellen, Illinois, built a large model steam locomotive for his son in 1928. When neighborhood kids discovered it was big enough to ride, word spread. By 1932, a Sears store owner approached Sturtevant about leasing the train for the holiday season. By 1940, demand was so high that Sturtevant founded the Miniature Train Company. The G16 model, introduced in 1946, revolutionized park trains. This specific diesel outline locomotive was modeled after GM's E-Series diesel, with G for General Motors and 16 inches referring to the track width in inches. The first production G16, locomotive hash 501, began service at Griffith Park in Los Angeles on April 4th, 1947. Each G16 featured a Wisconsin 4-cylinder gasoline engine, fluid clutch transmission, and realistic controls including working knuckle couplers and operating marker lights. Notable G16s include Train 784, built in 1955 in Milwaukee Road colors with a rotating Mars light, and the Birmingham Zoo units 757 and 758, donated to the Southeastern Railway Museum. MTC produced exactly 244 G16 locomotive sets between 1946 and 1963. In 1948, the company relocated to Rensselaer, Indiana, where production continued until Allen Herschell Company purchased MTC in November 1956. Allen Herschell continued manufacturing the G16 model under the MTC brand until 1963. Approximately 70 G16 locomotives survive today, with about 50 still operational. Specific preserved examples include the Duluth, Georgia unit still in service and the 2 Birmingham Zoo locomotives undergoing restoration. 5. National Amusement Devices Century Flyer. While other manufacturers focused on gasoline power, National Amusement Devices of Dayton, Ohio took a different path. Founded in 1919 by Oral Vasson as the Dayton Funhouse Company, NAD embraced electric power when others feared it. The Century Flyer model, their flagship 24-inch gauge streamlined locomotive, could be ordered in 3 specific configurations: all-electric, gasoline-powered, or dual-power hybrid. The electric version featured a 15-horsepower motor drawing power from a third rail system, while the gasoline model used a Ford Model A engine. Each Century Flyer locomotive measured 12 feet long and could pull 3 16-passenger cars at speeds up to 25 miles per hour. Notable Century Flyer installations included the Hollywood Kittyland unit in Chicago, operating 1949 to 1965, and the Melrose Park Kittyland model, 1950-1968. The Century Flyer's distinctive Art Deco styling featured a bullet nose front end, horizontal speed lines along the sides, and chromium-plated trim. NAD produced approximately 85 Century Flyer locomotives between 1940 and 1965, with serial numbers ranging from CF100 to CF185. The company also produced smaller models, including the 16-inch gauge Rocket Express and the rare 20-inch gauge Meteor model. NAD was sold in April 1973 and renamed International Amusement Devices, INCSA. Founder Oral Vasson passed away in 1979, but surviving Century Flyers include Unit CF142 at the Ohio Railway Museum and CF168 in private collection in Indiana. 4. Ottawa 12-inch gauge steam locomotives. The Ottawa story intertwines with the birth of modern amusement park trains and the founding of Chance Rides. It began when Herb Ottaway purchased a beat-up 12-inch gauge international locomotive at Sandy Beach Park in Wichita. Harold Chance was with him that day, and together they saw potential in what was literally a piece of junk. The Ottaway locomotive line consisted of specific 12-inch gauge 440 steam models burning coal. The first production Ottaway was Locomotive 1010, built around 1945. Lester Ottaway's original Joyland locomotive was likely 1011 or 1012. Records confirm Harold Chance produced Ottaway locomotives 1027 through 1089 between 1948 and the early 1960s. Notable specific models include 1053, which operated at Pagosa Springs, Colorado, and now resides in Loveland, Colorado, and 1024, owned by Bob Hayes in Washington State. Each Ottaway locomotive featured a coal-fired boiler tested to 150 pounds per square inch, Stevenson Link valve gear, working injectors, and brass fittings throughout. The standard Ottaway measured 9 feet 11 inches long and weighed approximately 1,200 pounds. Specific design features included 12-inch drive wheels, a distinctive balloon stack, and capacity to pull up to 40 passengers in 4 cars. The Ottaway 1042, a rare 440 configuration built by Harold Chance in 1947, sits in the Chance Rides lobby today. The National Roller Coaster Museum recently received a fully restored Ottaway locomotive, specific number undisclosed, from Chance Rides. The Ottawa Steam Train Association maintains records of approximately 63 surviving locomotives from the original 80 believed built. 3. Maine 2-foot gauge locomotives. Maine developed something almost entirely unique in North America, a network of 2-foot gauge railways that were actual common carriers, not amusement rides. Starting in the 1870s, some 200 miles of these tiny rails served Maine's rural communities until the 1940s. Specific locomotive models on Maine's 2-footers included the Bridgeton and Saco Rivers No. 7, a 244 Forney type built by Baldwin in 1913, and No. 8, a 262 Prairie built in 1924. The Sandy River and Rangeley Lakes operated No. 23, a 262 built by Baldwin in 1913, and No. 24, its twin. The Monson Railroad ran No. 3, a tiny 044 Forney built by Vulcan Iron Works in 1912, weighing just 13 tons. The Wiscasset, Waterville, and Farmington's No. 9, a 244T built by Baldwin in 1907, was their primary passenger locomotive. These specific locomotives featured unique specifications for their size boiler pressures of 150 to 180 pounds per square inch, cylinders typically 8 by 10 inches or 9 by 12 inches, and drive wheels ranging from 28 to 33 inches diameter. The largest Maine 2-footer was SR and RL No. 23 at 34 tons, while the smallest was Monson's No. 3. The Portland Company built coaches No. 15, Pondicherry, and No. 16, Mount Pleasant in 1882 for the Bridgeton and Saco River. Diesel locomotive No. 1, a 1946 Whitcomb 25-tonner converted to 2-foot gauge, operated at Edaville before coming to Maine. Today, the Maine Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum preserves specific examples, including B and SR No. 7, coaches No. 15 and No. 16, and diesel No. 1, operating them along Portland's Casco Bay. 2. Cagney Class D miniature locomotives. The Cagney brothers literally wrote the book on American miniature railways. Timothy, David, and John Cagney founded the Miniature Railway Company in Manhattan in 1898, but they've been building steam locomotives since 1894. Their office progressed from 301 to 407 and finally 74 Broadway before relocating to New Jersey. The Cagney Class D was their most successful model, a 15-inch gauge 440, weighing exactly 1,000 pounds. Specific Class D locomotives included the 20 units built for the 1904 Louisiana Purchase Exposition, numbered 1 to 20, and 4 larger 22-inch gauge versions, numbered 21 to 24. Notable preserved examples include the 1904 Class D at the Henry Ford Museum, used at Salisbury Beach, Massachusetts, and the 1905 Model D at Marshall Steam Museum. Each Class D featured specific components, 16-inch diameter driving wheels, 2.2 5x4-inch cylinders, a 14-inch diameter boiler holding 15 gallons, and height of 36 inches from rail to stack top. The Cagney brothers also produced specialized models including the Class D Heavy variant for the 1901 Pan American Exposition with the reinforced frames, the rare Class C 12-inch gauge model, only 15 built, and the massive Class E 24-inch gauge park locomotive. Production records show locomotive serial numbers ranging from 1 to approximately 1,300. The McGarrigle Machine Company manufactured these locomotives, first in Niagara Falls, then Jersey City. Notable installations included 2 gold-plated trains for the King of Siam and the locomotives at Coney Island's Dreamland Park. The company closed in 1948 after producing approximately 1,300 locomotives. Today, known surviving Cagney locomotives include at least 12 Class D models in museums and private collections. 1. Tom Thumb Steam Locomotive. At number 1, we have the granddaddy of them all, Peter Cooper's Tom Thumb, the first American-built steam locomotive to operate on a common carrier railroad. Built in 1830, this specific tiny engine changed American transportation forever, even though it never entered revenue service. The Tom Thumb's exact specifications were remarkable for 1830, less than 1 ton total weight, a vertical boiler approximately 20 inches in diameter and 5 feet tall, and a single vertical cylinder driving the wheels through gears. Cooper's specific design innovations included using gun barrels, likely musket barrels from local suppliers, as boiler tubes. He used about 20 of them. The belt-driven blower fan was 18 inches in diameter, mounted in the stack. The locomotive's wheelbase measured approximately 4 feet, with wheels about 30 inches in diameter. Cooper built this specific demonstrator in George Johnson's Baltimore machine shop with assistance from 18-year-old apprentice James Mill Holland. On August 28, 1830, Tom Thumb pulled a single-passenger car carrying 18 B&O railroad directors from Baltimore to Ellicott's Mills, 13 miles and back, in approximately 2 hours. During the famous race, the locomotive achieved a documented speed of 10 to 14 miles per hour before the blower belt, made of leather about 6 inches wide, slipped off its pulley, causing loss of draft and steam pressure. The B&O immediately commissioned trials for working locomotives, leading to the York built by Phineas Davis in 1831. Cooper's Tom Thumb was dismantled for parts in 1834. The B&O built their demonstration replica in 1927 for the Fair of the Iron Horse, following Cooper's 1875 sketches. This 1927 replica, though somewhat larger than the original, operates at the B&O Railroad Museum today. A working half-scale model built by Rick Weber operates at Heston Steam Museum in Indiana. From Tom Thumb's revolutionary demonstration to the beloved park trains that delighted generations, these miniature marvels prove that size doesn't determine significance. These weren't just scaled-down toys, they were serious machines that transported millions, shaped American leisure culture, and proved that innovation comes in all sizes. Many still operate today, preserved by dedicated enthusiasts who understand their importance to our industrial heritage. Thanks for riding along on this journey through America's smallest railway treasures. If you enjoyed discovering these iron horses that could fit in your backyard, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We've got more incredible stories from America's rails coming down the track. Until next time, keep your eyes open for the little trains that made big history. You never know when you might spot one of these miniature legends still earning its keep. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon because the best railroad stories are the ones you never saw coming.